we think it's a fantastic achievement what he's done in this novel. It starts in Europe in the 1930s. It moves to New Zealand after the Second World War. It covers a vast, imaginative expanse, and yet it's always done with pure storytelling at its heart. It's just a natural story, even though it traverses some of the most agonizing times of the 20th century in Europe and in New Zealand. So a wonderful achievement, Mark, and we've been very proud to be associated with you in getting this book ready for publication, and I'm sure it's the beginning of a glorious career in writing. I don't doubt that for one second. As I say, the short stories, ladies and gentlemen, Mark and I, one more wine and I'll be promising to publish them same time next year, but we're certainly looking very favourably at the idea, because he's just got something. He's got a most unusual point of view. He's a natural storyteller. He's got a glorious gift with similes and metaphors. There were so many in the book, we actually had to cut some of them out. So I'm hoping you're saving them up for the next book, Mark, because there wasn't one that was bad or unoriginal. It's a very original piece of writing, even though he's touching on the Second World War and what happened to Jewish people in the Second World War, and he's touching on the well-traversed territory of the waterfront lockhouse and growing up in rural New Zealand and a little bit of mental instability there, and stuff like that, painful episodes in New Zealand and world history. He's done it with complete originality, so it's a great achievement.
And Roger's already talked about the imagery that Mark uses. He's got a real way with words. He's a real storyteller. And the words just kind of lift off the page. He can describe places that really make them come alive. It really makes you feel like you're there. Another thing that's characteristic of Mark's writing is that he doesn't shy away from the difficult subjects. He's not afraid to shine a light into the more sinister side of human nature, and obviously this book is no exception, because he does deal with some very difficult topics, but he does it with huge sensitivity and with a great deal of skill. And he's taken us through this difficult story through the eyes of Anna. He's created this wonderful character of Anna, and we first meet her in Vienna in 1937 when she's a 10-year-old girl, when things are just starting to go bad there. And then we see her again 10 years later when she's arriving in Wellington, arriving in her new home. And so the novel kind of follows those two stories, the young Anna and the older Anna. So as well as being a story about Anna's great courage and determination to survive, it's also the story of a young woman finding her way in her new homeland, coming to terms with what New Zealand's like in the 1940s and the 50s, and it's more than that. It's a lot of different stories. It's a love story, and that was one of the strengths of the book for me. It's about relationships, and it's about Anna's relationships with her children as well. The way that parents and children can have misunderstandings. It covers so many different things. I think what I'd like to do now is just say a huge congratulations to Mark. It's not so difficult to, perhaps, relatively easy to start a novel, but actually finishing a novel takes not just the talent that Mark has, but it takes a huge amount of persistence and commitment and hard work, and Mark's put the hours in. So it's to his credit that he's come up with this wonderful book, and I know he's going to read a bit from it soon. And so big congratulations to Mark, big congratulations to Steele Roberts for bringing this out. I hope that this does really well. It deserves to sell lots of copies, it deserves prizes, so well done, Mark.
Hi, thank you. My main job is to thank everybody So, everybody, thank you. But particularly Linda, my partner, who's probably put up with a whole pile of crap while I was writing it. But thanks, everybody. So, I'm going to read a very short piece, you'll be glad to hear. And Roger, you do make the print rather small these days. Because before that, I could read perfectly well without glasses. I'm kidding. Okay. Makura Bay, February 1949. Anna made up the new bed. Folding the starched sheet over the blanket, she smoothed out the wrinkles. Pressing firmly with a flat of her hand, she pulled them taut and tucked them in tight. The bed was as neat as a coffin built for two. She stood back to view her work and folded her arms. Yes, that would do. Excuse me. That night, she slid under the covers, drawing them up over her head. When Des clambered in, she rolled away from him. "Comfy, eh?" she said with mock joviality, bouncing lightly. She could not answer him, but some dogged impulse must have made him go on. "It'll last us a lifetime. We can hand it down to our..." A stifled cry broke from her. She flung off the bedclothes and rounded on him, straddling his chest, her arms flailing. Ambushed by the force of her passion, he put his arms up to deflect the blows. Eventually, he managed to grab hold of her wrists. Her skin blenched in his grip, but she gave the pain no concession. He was breathing hard, staring at her tattoo. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. She remembered the first time he'd seen it. The look of horror and incomprehension on his face. The numbers, an unearthed remnant of her past. An equation never solved. Now she searched his eyes, daring him to show pity.
Go on, yes.
Yeah, Makura Bay bears a remarkable resemblance to Makara, but of course it isn't. It is a work of fiction, and you have to ask for someone who arrived in New Zealand in the mid-80s and in Invercargill, how does he know so much about our past? Such is the credit to the writer's imagination. Thank you very much, Janice, for launching the book. Thank you, Mark, for writing it. Thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight to support the book and to support Mark and to support Wellington Publishing. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses to toast the world's newest author, Mark Stephenson.